Good morning. Rain, hail, or shine, we made it today. Good morning, everyone. There's no such bad weather for a perfect gathering that cannot be delayed with our very dear guests and interstate guests joining us today. Thank you for warming up this day. Special guests, I am pleased to introduce Gamilaroi man Mike West, who will welcome us to country.
I'd like to say Bojari Gamarua, Gadagaliora, and welcome down here to where we are, just on the beautiful harbour here. Where we are here actually is Gomera, is the country, is the place what it's called here. And this is where traditionally Barani whales would come and rest with their calves in their journey up and down the coast. So it's a very important place. The Barani are one of our totems, which are a spiritual connection and part of our family. So obviously other clans, tribes and nations up and down the coast would have a connection to Barani, but they would have them as different names. And I have been talking to some other community mob up and down the coast, and they say their belief is it's the ancestors, the elders coming back to return here as one of their journey through our existence. And where we have the most beautiful harbour in the world. Even on a rainy day, it is the most beautiful harbour in the world we have. And it is, isn't it? Yes, we're lucky as all Australians. And I was going to say, when growing up myself, and still now, I have many friends from culturally and linguistic diverse communities, and I love having different conversations of their history. I think it's important. And here where we are, as I said, is Gadigal. Out there, the other side of the coat hanger, which is the Opera House. It was the Harbour Bridge, if anyone doesn't know, from New South Wales. We have Camaragal. And if we were actually to paddle out there in a traditional canoe, a bark canoe, would it be called a Nawi, And more likely than not, you'd actually see women out there in the canoes, in the Nawis, paddling out there. And at night, there'd be a little light in there. So they'd be paddling out there, they'd be fishing. If you look at the Opera House these days, you see a big white sculpture above on the lawn up there. That's in the shape of a Gadigal woman's fishing hook made from a shell. Yes. And paddling out there, if you head west, next door to here is Wongal, where the Olympic Park is. And the other side is Wallamadigal. It's just some of the country. And we keep going. And the clan out there where Parramatta is actually named after the Barramadigal clan, the Barramadigal. Barra meaning eel. The whole waterway, the harbour and everything has been created by a giant barra. And barra is just resting not too far from here. It's a little island called Memel, M-E-M-E-L, also known as Goat Island. It's the eye of the barra. So those clans and other clans would meet in that wonderful place. And what I was going to say too, on behalf of Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, we would like to say hello to all the mothers out there, and that tomorrow's Mother's Day, obviously, and that our culture, we are defined through our mothers. So our first tribe nation we're defined by is through our mothers. So mothers and our women are very important in our lives. It's important we do take a moment's silence to pay respect to the ancestors, pay respects to Mother Earth, pay respects to those we've lost the last few years in this difficult time. Also to remember, Sydney's been going through a very difficult time the last month, I think, that we need to understand at Bondi and that. And those we've lost and those that stood up. And also just reflect our journey right here, our journey of life right here to this point in time in the continuum. So if we just have a moment's silence, a moment of reflection, and a moment of paying respects, thanks. We have three beautiful rivers. Rain falls on Mother Earth and it finds its way to those rivers in the ocean. We have three rivers which are the boundaries of the Eora Nation. We have the Hawkesbury, Nepean and Georges. On behalf of Metropolitan Local Aboriginal Land Council, we welcome everyone here today, and it's important that you reflect on your journey and your family's journey, and the cultural and linguistic diverse group that you come from and their journey here to this wonderful country. And as Australians, whether you're born here or naturalised, you have a responsibility to look after our culture and our sites because they're your culture and sites to look after for humanity. But we want you to remain strong in your own cultural identity. It's important to do that, and I think we've learnt that the last few years. And I love talking to all the different groups, and I love learning about all the different cultures and having a yarn, you might say. And one thing is important to respect our totems because we have Bara as a totem, the eel. We have Barani as a totem, which is the whale. We also have the cockatoos, which are quite mischievous. They're part of our totems. They are quite mischievous when you look at them, aren't they? Yes, they will take all the flowers off a tree and wonder, and we don't know why. And they like showing off too. Another totem that's been marginalised, we need to treat everyone with dignity and respect, and all our totems with dignity and respect, is a little bird. It's probably about that big, its body. It's got white feathers, black tail feathers, long legs, long neck and long beak. Yes, I'm talking about the sacred ibis, is what I'm talking about. Also sacred in Egyptian culture, the sacred ibis. I was going to say, please don't call me a bin chicken, thank you. I'm not a bin chicken. You'll find the sacred ibis all around. They're very beautiful. You do watch them when they're flying. They're very graceful. So congratulations to everyone, like reflecting on your journey and your cultural heritage. It's so important. And let's all work and walk together for better outcomes. It may be raining a little bit today, but that's okay. It's just part of the cycle of life. We need the rain in this wonderful country we are, because we are the most driest country in the world. And let's all show the world when we respect each other, we treat each other with dignity, how we can live together. And we look around the world and there's some interesting times happening. There's a little bit of hate in the heart out there, but look, let's have love in our heart. I think 4 guys from the 60s said, all you need is love, and love is all you need. And I think we need a bit more of that in the world these days, don't we? Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and the Metropolitan Land Council for that warm welcome to country. Allow me to express my welcome to country in Arabic, my mother tongue. أود أن أعترف بالملاك التقليديين للأرض التي نقف عليها اليوم، وأقدم احترامي لشعب الجاديجل من أمة إيورا ولكبارهم في الماضي والحاضر. أقر أيضاً بأصحاب الأرض التقليديين من الأبوريجينيين وسكان جزر مضيق توريس. Hello or مرحبا in my mother tongue. My name is Petra Taok. I'm a human interest journalist. I'm a mother, primarily. I'm a presenter for Arabic 24 morning show, Good Morning Australia, on SBS, and I'm a news anchor at SBS, my second family. I was born in the enchanting city of Beirut, and I have a proud Lebanese heritage. My father migrated to Australia when he was 22, and what a coincidence to have my move to what I call home when I was also at the same age. It is my pleasure to be with you as your MC for today's ceremony. I would like to welcome every one of you as donors and supporters of Australia's National Maritime Museum on this very special day to unveil panels on Australia's national monument to migration. Firstly, there are several distinguished guests among us whom I wish to acknowledge. Representatives from the following embassies and consulates: Indonesia and Netherlands. Representatives from our media supporter, SBS, in the presence of the Managing Director, James Taylor. Representatives from SSI, councillors of the museum and directors of the foundation board, donors, sponsors, and supporters of the museum. Other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Today here at the heart of the museum, we celebrate the contribution migrants have made to this great country. We hope that today can remind us all of that great good fortune we share, being here together as a collective of cultures and communities, united in a celebration both of journeying and of coming home. Today, we are adding 686 names to the National Monument to Migration. Today, we are representing 47 countries, and this year marks the Welcome Wall's 25th anniversary, so it is a significantly special day. Also, a big shout out to all the mothers here among us. We say in Lebanese, life is a mother. To each one of you, thank you for being the first dwelling place, the first home, and the first motherland. A big clap to all our mothers here and who departed. The top 10 communities in order of representation in today's ceremony are the United Kingdom, Italy, Greece, Netherlands, Germany, Ireland, Malaysia, India, Lebanon, and Slovenia. Isn't that wonderful? It really shows the changing, dynamic, and enriching diversity of Australia. Please raise your hand for me if you are a migrant or a child of a migrant. And keep your hand up in the air if your name is being added to the monument today. Congratulations, today is all about you. Thank you. Today, your names join more than 34,000 inscriptions on this national monument. You are all in esteemed company, and your contribution is helping to recognize our proud and diverse national one story. Before we go, some housekeeping, because not everyone can make it today. The event is being recorded. It will be posted on the museum's website. We will also send you a link to the recording for you to share with all your loved ones. We should also, and we would love you to share your experience of the day. If you're posting videos and photos, and thank you for doing so, please use the hashtag #SeeMuseum. Hashtag #SeeMuseum, and tag us at @SeeMuseum. For the bathroom, please note there are toilets behind us on the first floor in Wharf 7. We do have photographers with us filming this event, so if you prefer not to be photographed, please let us know. In a moment, we will hear from some of the families whose names are being added to the monument. But first, I'd like to introduce the museum's director and CEO, Ms. Daryl Karp, member of the Order of Australia. The floor is yours, Daryl.
Thank you, Petra, and thank you particularly to Michael. We always enjoy having you here. And I just wanted to say that if you haven't had the opportunity to see a ngawi or a fish hook, go inside to the museum. We've actually got some spectacular ones on display in the ground floor gallery. And also, timely as it is, we have for Vivid, we've actually got a small film that's being screened as part of the Vivid celebration, telling the journey and the story of Barani. So it's amazing how all of these things come together. I too would like to acknowledge the Gadigal people as the traditional custodians of the Bamal and the Badu, the land and the waters on which this museum is located, and pay my respects to their elders, past and present, and to all First Nations people who are here today. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I wish it were a sunnier day, but it's not, and as Michael said, rain is good for the nation. But the Museum of the Sea, it's fitting that we're here at the Australian National Museum, our Museum of the Sea, where so many migrants arrive just a short couple of 100 metres to call Australia home. It's an honour to be here to acknowledge all the families whose names appear on the welcome wall. As Petra said, it is our 25th year anniversary. It is a very special day. Migration and the role it plays in creating our multicultural nation is one of the key pillars of the stories that the Maritime Museum actually explores. In fact, we are the only national cultural institution with a significant focus on migration. The monument marks a long history of migrants who have shaped modern Australia. And as I said, here at the museum, we explore, understand, and celebrate our shared values and respect our different perspectives. There are many things happening around the world that have the potential to divide us. And so for us at the museum, we like to focus on those things that can unite us and to celebrate the many diverse stories that come from those many people, many perspectives, many nations that make us who we are today, connecting through shared appreciations and understanding. Because modern Australia is shaped by these stories. It's often said that migrants have two homes, their birth home and their adopted home, and that we never fully leave behind our birth home and the culture and our culture as we make this our new home. Our daily life in this country benefits from that duality and wide cultural mix. The stories of migrants speak to universal themes such as belonging, love, adventure, family, and safety. Some of those stories are marked and shaped by adversity, loss, and sadness. Some are less dramatic, but all are stories of hope. People don't leave their homes for no reason. All migrant journeys are marked by hope. Hope for a better life for ourselves or for our children, hope for better opportunity, for better education, or just that primal hope of safety and security. And it is this journey of hope that binds all migrants together, regardless of where we've come from. I, like so many of you, have my own migration stories. My family come from Lithuania and Germany to South Africa, and then more recently to Australia. And I have vividly recalled the wooden trunk at the back of my grandmother's wardrobe, filled with German Reich marks, a reminder of the hyperinflation and that all those notes wouldn't buy a loaf of bread in the 30s. By placing your family on our as an Australian national monument, you have made a donation to the museum supporting our commitment to honour, collect and hold your stories, which collectively are our stories, our national story. They make up that big tapestry that is Australia. So thank you again for your contribution. Everyone on the monument is an important part of our museum family, and we consider you to be our champions. I hope you will think of the museum as your other home and visit us frequently. There are many organisations that help us do what we do. As we all know, we can never do these complex connecting experiences entirely on our own. And I'd like to acknowledge all of you, the embassies, the consulates, community groups, media organisations, who all assist us in spreading the word. But I would particularly like to thank two, SBS and Settlement Services International, for their leadership, vision and passion for multiculturalism in Australia. And as I'm not sure you know, but SBS was one of the founding partners of the museum's original Welcome Wall program. And we thank you, particularly James, for your continued support of the museum's migration campaigns. You'll be hearing from SSI General Manager for Newcomer Settlement and Integration, Yamamah Agha, shortly. But I would like to say thank you to all speakers who are sharing your stories today, because it's your stories that actually add to this wonderful connection of threads and the tapestry of who we are in Australia. We couldn't run a National Museum program like this without dedicated staff who are absolutely passionate and caring and concerned and pulling together all of the components that make this such a wonderful experience, especially in the rain, securing all of the spare umbrellas that we might have in the museum, getting everything organised, wiping down the chairs as they're continually getting wet, but mostly for their passion and appreciation and value that they see in the stories that you all bring to us. So I'd particularly like to acknowledge Robert Heaney, Jasmine Croker, Katie Vajda, and particularly Tina Katsagianis. A special thank you to you and our wonderful staff and volunteers who have assisted today. But mostly I want to say thank you to all of you for sharing your stories, for braving this dreadful weather, for joining us to be part of what is an amazing story, the story of Australia as told through our migrants and through our Welcome All. Thank you all.
Thank you, Daryl, for sharing your story, a journey marked of hope, as you said, and a dual connection. Let us never forget that there is no arrival without a painful departure. Now, everyone, if you would please stand and join me in welcoming Olivia Fox, a Wiradjuri woman who will sing the national anthem in both English and the language of the Eora Nation.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is good by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains, then let us sing, advance Australia fair.
Thank you very much, everyone. As mentioned, my name is Olivia Fox, and I'm a proud Wiradjuri woman. That was the national anthem in Gadigal language and English, and I too would like to acknowledge that we are on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. Before I finish, I also have one more song that I'd love to sing to you. This is a beautiful song called Nara Bura Fera, and this is a song sung in the Yorta Yorta language. And essentially, this song is a Bible verse that has been translated into Yorta Yorta language, and it's about crossing of the seas. So I hope you enjoy. Womraka Moses yen yen wala wala yepuni yepuj nara bura fera yumanaya la nara bura fera yumanaya la ya la nara bura fera yumanaya la ya la
Bura fera yomana, Bura fera yomana, Bura fera yomana yala yala. Yenuk beku Jesu, Prada bukara yamana, Nara bura fera yomana yala. Nara bura fera yomana yala yala. Nara bura fera yomana yala yala. Nara bura fera yomana, Bura fera yomana, Bura fera yomana yala yala.
Thank you, Olivia. That was just heartwarming. It is now my pleasure to introduce Yamamah Agha, General Manager for Newcomers, Settlement and Integration at SSI, which is a community organization and social business that works to support newcomers to Australia and other vulnerable individuals to achieve their full potential. Please warmly welcome Yamamah.
Thank you, Petra. Thank you, Olivia, as well, and Daryl. A very warm welcome during this lovely rainy day here in Sydney. I also would like to begin by acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation as the traditional custodians of the Bamong, Earth and Badu waters on which we are gathered today, and pay my respects to elders past and present and the continuation of cultural, spiritual and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. It's wonderful to be back here this year to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the important tradition, the unveiling of new names that have been inscribed on our national monument to migration. With over 34,000 names are now inscribed, this monument serves as a permanent reminder of the vital role migration plays in shaping our national identity. This year, alongside the more than 600 people whose names are being inscribed, I would like to extend a warm congratulations to Fawaz Jalil Abudi Mahrouk and Bahara Sadiq, whose names are being added today, and to their families. Fawaz arrived in Australia with his wife and 3 children in October last year, after spending 10 years in Turkey, having fled their homes in Iraq. With a background in construction, he hopes to find employment and learn how to apply for jobs in Australia. He will be working to improve his English and the skills to be able to contribute. Bahara Siddiqui arrived in Australia in January 2024 from India, originally from Afghanistan, and currently attending TAFE to study a certificate course in dental assistance. Bahara is keen to work in the health industry. Migration is a core to the work I do every day with SSI as the lead, leading all the refugees and migrant programs. And it's also to my own personal life experience. I grew up in Lebanon and came to Australia to join my husband as a partner under the family visa, and leaving everything behind by choice. I had to navigate life in Australia. I had to navigate the systems. I had to navigate services. I had to establish myself in Australia as a new migrant and call Australia home. And my migration experience has profoundly shaped my perspective and commitment to supporting people as they build their new lives in Australia. The challenges I faced in finding a place in the wonderful country deepened my resolve to ensure that every individual, regardless of background, has access to the support and resources they need to thrive. And that is our ultimate goal at SSI. Each year, our organization connects more than 50,000 people from migrants and refugee backgrounds or culturally diverse backgrounds with the support and services they need to thrive. Migration is not about moving from one place to another. It's about the exchange of ideas, skills, and cultures that enrich our society in countless ways. Australia's success as a multicultural nation is evident in its population, with more than 30.7% born overseas, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics. But beyond the statistics lies a tapestry of human experiences, stories of resilience and contributions. The economic contributions of migrants is undeniable, with the new residents contributing 330 billion to the Australian GDP each year. But economic contributions are only one part of the story. Migrants and refugees bring with them a wealth of knowledge, skills, and perspectives that fuel innovation and creativity. They start businesses at twice the rate of the wider Australian population, demonstrating their entrepreneurial spirit and their determination to succeed. But perhaps more importantly, migrants and refugees enrich the cultural fabric of our society. They introduce new beliefs, customs, and traditions, fostering understanding and tolerance in our communities. I want to extend my heartfelt congratulations to all the individuals and families whose names are being added to the monument today. Your stories are a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the power of resilience. May you always feel welcome and valued as part of our beautiful Australia's multicultural community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yamamah, for this inspirational stand and work that is shaping the lives of immigrants. Thank you to you, along with the museum partner SSI, who have been working with the museum to help bring the names and stories of new migrants to the monument. Before we proceed, you transform rain into sunshine. My heart stands with you. We do have chairs in the shelter for those who wish to join us and continue from inside. Yamamah was speaking about the migration experience, and she mentioned it's an inner openness of a cultural exchange. Let us never forget that both the arrival and departure points aren't only dates, but are an inner experience that continue to shape our lives till the very last breath. I would like to introduce Alana Woods, who will be sharing her family's migration story. Alana and her family migrated to Australia from the United Kingdom in 1950s. Please join me in a warm welcome to Alana.
Well, good morning. And regardless of the weather, it's great to be here and actually see the Welcome Wall. It's a brilliant initiative, isn't it? And it's nice to think that in taking part, we're becoming part of Australia's collective history. And there's also the fact that future generations have got this resource when researching their families' pasts. My name's Alana Woods, and I'm here representing my family and our parents who brought us here, Doris and Alan Mosley. My husband, John, and his brother Bill are here representing their family and their parents, William and Audrey Woods. And our immigrations are so similar that I put the stories together. Today I'm going to tell both families' histories. We both immigrated in the 1950s from the Midlands of England. John and Bill from Rugby, me from Leicester. because our fathers couldn't settle back into the cold English winters when they returned from fighting in World War II. John and Bill's father had seen desert warfare in North Africa. My father had seen jungle warfare in Burma. And immigrating must have been really hard for our mothers. They had good lives back in England. They had lovely homes with all the mod cons. They had family, they had friends, and just getting up and leaving everyone and everything behind forever would have been really difficult. But even so, they packed up and they came. And we came by ship and settled on the Adelaide Plains in South Australia, first being accommodated in migrant camps. John and Bill's family arrived in 1956 when John was 9 and Bill was 14, so they remember a lot about England. They settled in Gawler, a country town 55 kilometres inland from Adelaide. And while on the migrant camp, they bought a block of land on the outskirts of Gawler, and their dad built a home to lock-up stage, and they moved in and he finished building it around them. And because they were on the edge of town, they had the convenience of being able to connect to water and electricity. My family, the Mosleys, arrived in 1951 when I was 4, so I don't have many memories of England. We settled close to the coast on newly opened up farming land, so there were no roads, no electricity, and no water. We lived for 2 years in a caravan while my dad built a 3-room shed that we all moved into. We had a wood-fired stove for cooking, we had a kerosene lamp lighting, we had an ice box for a fridge, and a wood-heated copper boiler for doing the laundry. And it took another 5 years for my father to build a house for us. There are a lot of stories I could tell you about our early years, but the one I decided to tell you about was the one about the dunny. It was a really deep hole in the ground that Dad dug at the back of the yard. And huntsman spiders, as big as saucers, used to live in the top corners. And if at all possible, I would avoid going at night. But if I had to, I'd take a torch and I'd light my way there. And when I was there, I'd sit and I'd point that torch up at the spiders, and just looking, staring at their big black beady eyes, mesmerised, just willing them not to drop on me. Immigrating and being in Australia was a big adventure for us kids. When not at school, we had complete freedom to roam. Weekends and holidays, we'd take off after breakfast with a packed sandwich and we'd disappear for the whole day. Many years later, my mother said that she soon learned not to worry about us because we always bobbed up back in time for dinner. Hard as it was for our parents in the beginning, they did come to think of Australia as home, and they made good lives for themselves and for us. And we've always been very grateful they had the courage to face the unknown and bring us here. We're Aussies, heart and soul. Have John and I ever gone back to the UK? Yes. Our oldest daughter married an Englishman and lives there. So if we want to see her and our grandchildren, we've got to go. Before I finish, it was suggested that we might like to bring an item that has special significance from that time. And John and I both have something, although we didn't bring them because they're on the bulky side. John remembers that on the second day at the migrant camp, they walked into town and bought an electric jug, a toaster, and a valve radio. And it's the radio for him that evokes memories. We still have it, and the last time we turned it on, it still worked. For me, it's my father's piano. It was the one thing he couldn't bear to leave behind. And it's in the care now of one of his granddaughters who cherishes it for its family connections and history. And just the thought of it, for me, is enough for all those precious memories of those early days to flood back. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. A sincere thank you, Elena, for sharing intimately your family story with all of us, for being Aussie heart and soul. Even if the first house would be a caravan, it's worth it if Australia will be home. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Tran Nguyen, who will be sharing her migration story. Where did her story begin? When did she arrive to Australia, and why? I'm going to keep all the story for Tran. Please join me in making her welcome.
Thank you, Petra. Good morning, everyone. I would like to begin by acknowledging the Gadigal people, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. My sincerest thanks to Robert Henley and his team for this amazing event. My name is Tran Nguyen, and I am one of the faces of migration, and I am humbled and honoured to share my family's story today. Our journey began in 1979 when we left Vietnam. The exodus of our family consisted of 27 members. Together with 400 strangers, we were crammed in a 15-metre boat, fleeing for our lives, not knowing where we would end. We were overcome with conflicting emotions, leaving behind everything, and longing for a new freedom. We clung on to hope amidst the shadows of despair, among the harsh waters that could capsize us at any moment. We felt enormously confronted and vulnerable, terrified that we would be the next to die. Following 3 days adrift at sea, we encountered pirates that gridlocked us and took all our possessions. We remained united in our quest for survival, trying to seek refuge wherever possible. But no land was in sight. We finally arrived at the shores of Indonesia. We lived in a makeshift camp for 11 months there. We were exposed to illness and death. I was born in this refugee camp, and fortunately, soon after, Australia accepted us as immigrants and allowed me to celebrate my first birthday in this lovely land that I call home. My family sought out to carve a new beginning, despite not knowing one word of English. We settled in South Australia. My family worked hard and continued to contribute to their best capacity. Our family opened up a restaurant to introduce Vietnamese cuisine and culture. With tenacity, kindness, and focus, my family's flame of determination burnt bright, providing me with security and opportunities to study in Adelaide and abroad. Due to my upbringing and my family values, I returned to Australia to look after my parents and to pursue a career in medicine. I started a degree in obstetrics and gynecology and then became the first Vietnamese qualified gynecologist in Adelaide. Thank you. I was trained in minimally invasive surgery and continued to train other doctors in this specialty. I also have a master's in health administration and am currently completing a PhD researching innovative treatments for pelvic organ prolapse, a condition that affects 40% of women. It is exciting times because our team has recently received a government grant to innovate a product that can help prolapse surgery. As a part of FBW Gynecology Plus, we strive to advocate for women's health. Alongside my mentor and colleague, Dr. Fariba Willison, we founded Desert Flower South Australia, a not-for-profit organisation supporting survivors of female genital mutilation. Last year, our team won 2 Telstra Best of Business Awards at national level, and that was in accelerating women and championing health. Being here today at this National Monument to Migration and the 25th year anniversary is a testament of this country's generosity and compassion to me. I'm proud to stand here as a refugee, and I will strive to give back even more. I thank my parents, my sister and partner for being here today, and their abundant bravery and resilience. I thank Australia for the opportunities and the unwavering belief in the promise of a better tomorrow. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tran. Thank you for transforming your wounds into wisdom. From an exodus, a 15-meter boat, a journey to the unknown, longing for a new freedom amidst despair. These are our stories that are worth voicing. Grateful to your contribution to Australia and to every woman this morning, and thank you for voicing your story, Tran. I'd like to introduce to you our next and final speaker, the Australian of Lebanese heritage. There's a soft spot there for me because my story began there. My roots are still connected there. I have arrived to Australia, but I have never departed psychologically from Lebanon. The floor is all yours, Rebecca. And our precious Lachlan.
Thank you, Petra. And good morning, everybody. First, I'd like to hand over to my son, Lachlan, for the acknowledgement of country. It's there.
We too would like to pay our respects to the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of the land we are standing on today, and we feel lucky to call home.
Thank you, Lachlan. It's such an honour to be here today on this special occasion to give you a glimpse of my mother's migration experience. But first, let me tell you what this ceremony means to our family. When we finish school or university, there's a graduation ceremony to recognise all the hard work, the tears and the triumphs. So this ceremony is like a graduation ceremony for my mother, recognising her efforts and her triumph, amongst other migrant families doing the same. Plus, it's a record for future generations to know not just where they came from, but the stories behind where they came from. It's also extra special because it's Mother's Day tomorrow. I'm telling her story today, but I would also like to briefly mention other members of my family whose names are also inscribed on the monument. My father, Brahim, who we honoured here in 2011, and my Auntie Marie and Uncle Adib, who are being honoured today. Their stories are intertwined, as you will see. Now back to my mother. Born Suhaila de Boumaluf, my mother had never left her tiny village of Dereya El Zawiya, North Lebanon before, not even to see Beirut or the famous cedars of Lebanon. She'd heard stories of Australia from her three older siblings, Suhail, Jean and Marie, who were already here. She was scared to leave behind her country and her family, and she was sad, but it did seem like an opportunity. On the 1st of March 1960, having just turned 17, she travelled by plane to Sydney alone, which took 3 days. My mother tells me she was so naive, having been so sheltered growing up in that small town, that she was more like a 13-year-old. She was very scared and sick on that flight and wasn't even sure what to do with a passport. She remembered just copying what other people did, and eventually she lost the passport before landing in Sydney. Airport security obviously wasn't that strict then. Her first few days in Sydney were a whirlwind. She stayed with her brothers for the first night in Campsie, but the next day, her sister Marie asked her to come to live with her and her young family in beautiful Bathurst. Mum couldn't yet speak a word of English. During the car ride to Bathurst, they discussed what her anglicised name should be. Suhaila became Sally, and that is what people have called her ever since. They all worked hard in their diner and lived above it. It was a bustling family of 6 gorgeous children who my mother helped look after and loved dearly. With no English, it was so hard for Mum. She used to pretend she was writing down customers' orders, but she actually didn't know what they were saying. My uncle Adib would be secretly listening and he'd start making the order. Mum said that Bathurst people were kind and welcoming and helped her learn English. Despite that, those early days in Australia were very difficult for her. She felt isolated, lonely, and she missed her family back in Lebanon. She tried to save enough money to move back. However, that was not to be, as 5 years later she met her future husband, my father, Brahim, and decided to stay in Australia. They married 2 years later at St George Antioch Orthodox Cathedral, Redfern, eventually settling in Kensington in a beautiful, typically Australian Federation house. Over time, my mum's independence and confidence grew, and so did her sense of belonging to Australia. With a warm and vibrant family of 4 children and 8 grandchildren, their lives are busy and full of love. To sum up, let me share what my mother told me Australia means to her. She said, "Australia is the lucky country. She's been good to us. Lebanon was our first mother, but Australia is our second mother." I'm sure many migrants can relate to that sentiment. I hope you've enjoyed this snapshot of my mum's migration story. It's built richness and resilience into our family, as well as a sense of gratitude. I will now hand back to Lachlan for some closing words.
On behalf of my family, we would like to say thank you to the Maritime Museum for providing migrant families like ours the opportunity to share our story. We hope that the next generations of our family will appreciate and learn from my grandmother's or my Tata's experience. In closing, I have a special message for my Tata, which is Shukran iktir u ana habik iktir iktir. This translates to thank you very much, and I love you very, very much. Thank you all for listening.
شكراً وأنا بحبك لachlan. Thank you. Thank you, Tata Suhaila. Thank you, everyone. It's really, really heartwarming. We are all due for some music to wind down this inner turbulence and emotions and many, many waves of sentiments that we're all experiencing. I would love to invite Paolo Campanari Brancondi, who migrated to Australia as well in 2012. He left Italy. He is a conservatory trained and Sydney-based guitarist. Paolo. Grazie. Thank you, Paolo. Paolo will continue playing, ladies and gentlemen. In just a moment, the music will continue. Before we end the formal proceedings, please join me in thanking all our wonderful speakers today. Thank you. Thank you for our performers as well. We trust you can take some time to enjoy this rainy, generous day. Now that we have unveiled the new names just over there, please go and view your name anytime you like throughout the day. There are a lot of people here today, so please let's be extra kind to each other on this wet day. Please visit the museum while you're here today. Do not forget that you do all have free entry to the museum. We have lots to see, and the museum is open till 4 p.m. Please do ask our staff for details. As we conclude this ceremony, thank you once again. Shukran. Thank you for attending to help us celebrate the lives and contributions of those honored on the monument today and helping us all create this wonderful celebration. Congratulations to all. Have a great day. Take it away, Paolo. Thank you.